Welcome to Immersive Reactions Extras. Today we're looking at a little behind the scenes of War of the Worlds. We reacted to this about a week ago now. That reaction is up on our main channel. The link will be in the description.
I've never seen anything like this before. That many strikes of lightning.
Shot over 73 days, Spielberg's 2006 adaptation of War of the Worlds, based on the novel of the same name, is an epic reimagining with an intricate production process. Featuring an all-star studded cast including Tom Cruise, Miranda Otto, Tim Robbins, and Morgan Freeman's sultry voice as the narrator, it follows a man struggling to protect his children during a catastrophic alien invasion. Hey guys, what's happening? Nihat here with Film and Comics Explained, and as requested, today...
Just a quick aside, if you want to, the link to this video will be in the description. If you feel so inclined and you're on a desktop, throw it up on a second tab, mute it, just to give them credit for the video. I don't want to react to these videos and not give credit where credit's due and give them a view. If you feel so inclined to do that, just do that. If you don't, it doesn't matter to me.
We're exploring Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. The prolific English writer H.G. Wells is known for many of his works of science fiction, from The Time Machine to The Invisible Man, among more. His fourth novel, The War of the Worlds, was published in 1897 and describes an invasion of Earth by a force from beyond the stars. Wells has said that the story was inspired by England's colonization of Tasmania. Over the course of 40 years, almost the entire population of indigenous peoples were wiped out due to mistreatment.
Yeah, that's what I brought up in the video when we were reacting to it, that it reminds me of indigenous people when we came to the New World, but he's saying the English colonization of Tasmania it reminded him of, which I'm not very familiar. I'm not familiar at all with that. Maybe you'll hear more a little bit about it here, but that's cool that I pointed that out before I got it.
And disease. Wells essentially wondered, what would happen if an alien force did to us what England had done to the Palawa? And following through on this would create one of the best works of science fiction in history, one that has remained in print for 125 years and undergone numerous adaptations. One of these, and perhaps the most outlandish due to the mania it caused, was the 1938 radio drama version produced by 23-year-old Orson Welles.
Our army is wiped out. Artillery, Air Force, everything wiped out. May be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end.
It was developed as an episode of the...
That's wild that they aired it. And imagine people at that time getting that broadcast and not knowing it was a story, and then like tuning in like halfway through and then figuring that out.
Radio anthology series, The Mercury Theatre on the Air. But due to the typical news radio format of the first act, listeners who missed the introduction to the show actually believed that aliens were invading the planet.
The strange creatures, after unleashing their deadly assault, crawled back in their pit and made no attempt to prevent the efforts of the firemen to recover the bodies and extinguish the fire.
Yeah.
In the novel, the invaders from space are Martians that have depleted their resources on Mars. They first land in England using artificial cylinders, large transport vehicles carrying 4 Martians each, as well as several disassembled parts of their various technologies. According to accounts of those unfortunate enough to see them firsthand, the invaders are described as having greyish-brown oily skin, 2 large dark eyes, and V-shaped mouths surrounded by tentacles. Thankfully, unable to cope with Earth's gravity and atmosphere, they spent most of their time in their vehicles. Attempts at peace and communication were initially made, with soldiers approaching with white flags, but they were abruptly incinerated with heat rays. This serves as a tipping point for the conflict, and as the army prepares for war, the Martians assemble their unearthly technologies. Their first horrifying weapon is the fighting machine, aka the tripod, a towering 3-legged giant armed with tentacles, a poisonous chemical weapon referred to in the novel as the Black Smoke. And
that's why I said that was coming down. It's a black smoke.
Yeah, I didn't see that part in the movie when I was watching it, but...
Next is the handling machine, designed to aid in the construction and disassembly of technology. Only slightly taller than a human, their solid metal frame rests upon 5 robotic legs. Tentacles, a running theme with Martian technology, are used in conjunction with extendable arms to lift and attach heavy machinery. Now, the flying machine doesn't really have a description, due to the protagonist hearing about it from another character, but what we do know is that it was used to spread the black smoke, and as a means of transport. Finally, we have the embankment machines, essentially autonomous digging machines that widen the surface of landing sites for increased protection. As the story progresses, we soon discover that the resource they're running out of is food. They also don't have a digestive system of any kind and subsist on the nutrients of other beings, namely the nourishment in their blood, which they obtain through transfusions. Interestingly, the Martians also possess several unique traits.
Suck it out.
Yeah. How do they eat normally then?
I don't know.
Like on their planet. That's what I'm confused about. Because there's nothing, unless there's a whole organisms to eat there.
Don't require much sleep and can function for days, weeks, or even months without rest.
Oh.
They also communicate almost exclusively through telepathy, though they have been known to mutter a single word throughout the novel, Ula, which seems to be their war cry. Without their singular weakness, an immune system vulnerable to the germs and pathogens native to our planet, all of humanity would have been wiped out.
I wanted the tripods, number one, to be really scary because they're going to represent what's driving them. So I want the audience to say, okay,
Ooh.
it's just a machine. Let's get to what's
Pimples.
inside. Let's see the aliens.
In 2002, Spielberg and Cruise worked together to produce the sci-fi masterwork Minority Report, which we've covered on the channel in the past. Links in the description. With its success, they were eager to work together on another project, and one of the pitches Cruise gave the director was an adaptation of War of the Worlds. Spielberg, being intimately familiar with alien films, having made both E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, jumped at the idea.
Never seen either of them.
He loved the idea of making an edgier, scarier alien movie, in contrast to his previous, more light-hearted ventures.
I wanted the audience to actually be terrified by what these things looked like from the outside. So I had the most amazing group of computer graphic artists working on the design of the tripods.
Yeah, they are.
The writing duties fell
creepy.
to Josh Friedman, whose script was then rewritten by David Coe, who'd previously written for Jurassic Park and Mission Impossible. Both writers had the difficult task of modernizing a story written in the late 1800s.
We went back and researched all of the wealth of design interpretations that have been done today. And part of it was to be conscious of what had been done, but also to steer away from that because we wanted to create something new and unique.
They changed a number of things,
It is unique.
including the origin of the invaders from Mars to an unknown planet, and the location of the main events from England to North America. They also changed how
it's
the aliens
Hollywood.
arrived on the planet, discarding the cylinders in favor of tripods that had been buried in the Earth thousands of years ago.
You just don't want to do what everybody else has done. And I think he just
Yes,
probably
that's
was
true.
Yeah.
thinking,
Every generation, like every generation that comes up probably has its own interpretation of what this would look like, or what it, based on the novel of there being tripods and all these different vehicles. You could do anything with that. Maybe not every generation, but every few generations. I don't know when the last movie of War of the Worlds was. I would have to look it up, but 1953,
Yeah,
right
it
there,
says right there.
1953, War of the Worlds. I don't know if there's one in between there, like in the 70s or something, but it's interesting to me.
come from space, so he just said, well, what if I go the other way? What if they come out?
The project was filmed over the course of 73 days, across locations in Virginia, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and California. The immaculate special effects were carried out by none other than Industrial Light and Magic, who worked closely with Spielberg to bring his vision of the aliens and their technology to life.
I got all the experts from ILM who had been working on episode 1, 2, and 3 for George. And with 3 wrapping up, I was able to take most of the team, Dan Gregorin and his unit.
Now, Spielberg wanted to keep the tripods close to the original description, but drastically changed the appearance of the aliens, making them more amphibian-looking and jellyfish-shaped than the brains with tentacles from the novel. Interestingly, the effect of the human heat ray was
like an
too
actual
complex for
creature,
computers at the time, digital and practical effects, using real dust to realize the human remains.
When you start analysing the movie in the 72 days, which is an incredibly tight schedule we shot it on, and you see where the demarcation line is, the dividing line between actual stunt work
They
and
filmed
ILM
all this in
stunt work.
72 days?
Yes,
That's crazy.
The film opens with a narration by Morgan Freeman, explaining that intelligent beings from another world have been plotting against the Earth for centuries.
Across the gulf of space, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic.
I can see it both ways. I can see the director wants to like set the stage immediately of what is going to happen, and it's not going to be good, and then blow away with expectation later. Blow away your expectation. You're like, okay, aliens are coming. But then you see the aliens and you're like, wow, I did not expect that. I knew they were aliens, but I didn't know they were going to be like that. And that's the thing. But like I was saying in the beginning, if they had not told me, I would probably have been more surprised with the aliens, or I wouldn't know what would been the aliens, or if it was aliens at all. but I guess they wanted to set the stage for that.
Regarded on it with envious eye.
We're then introduced to our main cast, Ray Ferrier, a divorced dock worker played by Tom Cruise, and his children, Justin Chatwin's moody teenager Robbie, and Rachel, an eccentric child with an anxiety disorder played by Dakota Fanning. Robbie and Rachel are dropped off by their mum, Mary Ann, played by Miranda Otto, before she heads to Boston to visit her parents, and it's immediately clear why they are divorced. Ray is a selfish, self-centered person who can't be bothered to take care of or connect with his children.
Okay.
Blackjack?
I'm allergic to peanut butter.
Since when?
Yeah.
Everything changes when a mysterious
He tries, but
it's seemingly targeted lightning strikes
doesn't
occur near their home,
know anything.
disabling everything from cars to watches.
This car just stopped.
And the
Go
EMPs.
away over and over again. You all right? And me and this other guy, we climbed on Lincoln Avenue.
When he goes to investigate, a tripod erupts from the ground, immediately causing destruction and chaos. Running back home, he grabs his kids and makes a break from Mary Ann's home, using the only working car in the area. But upon arriving, they find that she'd already departed for Boston, and so they decide to rest in the basement. Terrifying flashing lights, unearthly noises, and explosions then rock the house during the night. When they leave the next morning, they are horrified to find the neighborhood decimated.
Got some kind of shield around them. You can't see it, but everything we fire at them detonates too early before we can get close enough to cause any damage. Those machines run to the ground, right? So that means they must have been a long time ago.
The terror continues on their way to Boston when they're overwhelmed by a mob who
Oh
want
my
their
God.
car. The three of
This
them are
part
then
made me
forcibly
mad.
ejected and watching horror as people kill each other to gain control of the vehicle. When they come across a military battle with the aliens, Robbie forces his father to let him join the fight. And as the idiot disappears over a hill into a series of explosions, a tripod suddenly appears, forcing them to shelter with a madman named Harlan, played by Tim Robbins.
I think
There they avoid detection for
I
several
understand
days,
his
and even
motives.
manage to stay hidden when several of the aliens investigate their hiding
I don't think he's
spots.
stupid, but
Whoa.
having those motives. That's the motive of every World War II veteran. Every veteran in general is, I want to do something now.
Not later.
Not later. I don't want to merely exist. I want to go through it now, and I want to do something for either my family, myself, my country, whatever you go to. But I can understand his motivation.
Resemble the tripods from which they came. They have the same triangular-shaped head, 2 large dark eyes, and 3 thin yet flexible limbs. Shortly after this encounter, they notice red vines
Yes,
creeping
I wanna
into the
know what that
basement
is.
from outside, and a red mist being sprayed into the air.
Obviously that.
They then witness a tripod harvesting blood from a captured human, which they realize is the red mist being sprayed outside
Yeah,
to help them
why
fall,
though?
sending Harlan into a crazed state that forces Ray to kill him off screen. Despite this, they're nonetheless discovered by an alien probe and captured.
I just skipped
Now
out, I
within the
don't know.
tripod, Ray uses a belt of discarded
just
grenades to destroy the machine from the inside,
That was
saving many
crazy.
that were also trapped. Inexplicably and out of nowhere, the other machines begin to act erratically and fail. Ray notices birds landing on a tripod, indicating the force shields have been disabled, and the troops are able to quickly bring it down using missiles.
I still do want to
Ray
know
and
what those
Rachel then
veins
finally
were.
reach their destination, where they're reunited with Mary Ann and Robbie, who somehow survived. And the film concludes with Morgan Freeman telling us that the aliens were unable to withstand the microscopic beings that inhabited the Earth.
Got a splinter.
Where'd you get it? Come here. It's gonna get infected.
No, it won't.
Yes, it's gonna get infected.
No, it won't. When you push it out.
My dad gave me the greatest gift, an opportunity to apply my imagination to things that he first introduced me to, like the mystery of what's out there, and like the certainty that we are not alone.
War of the Worlds was released on June 25th and made back its production budget within a week. The film received generally favorable reviews, with most praising the adaptation and the special effects, but a few jabronis complained about the abrupt, unfulfilling ending, despite it being a direct copy of the novel's ending. At the end of the day, the film is an enduring work of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Spielberg's vision of the aliens, the horrifying destruction they cause, and the madness it inspired in people trying to survive is riveting to see played out. But with that said,
I
of
mean,
course,
like,
we'd love to hear what
it
you
would
guys
be
thought about
abrupt.
the film, so please share that in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
Okay. That gave us a little more backstory and insight, but not a whole ton. If
Right.
you like this, we will be doing it in the future. And if you have a better video for us to watch about the breakdown of this movie, or a breakdown of the book, a breakdown of the lore, anything like that, let us know and we'll do that. Thank you for watching Immersive Reactions Extras. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. It helps us get recognition on our videos, and we'll react to more in the future. Thank you.